I'm going to talk today about color wheels, and also especially the relationship between paint colors, like this one is called diarylide yellow, for example, but how does that relate to the regular colors that we know, just the color names, yellow, red, green, blue, etc. It can be confusing. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about that and help to demystify some of it. So as you can see, we've got golden acrylic paints here, and I've also got a variety of different viscosities and kinds, but it doesn't matter because they're all easily intermixable. But here's the name of a color, diarylide yellow. And you might probably have never heard of that color before. It's the name of the pigment that gives this color its name. So, but as you can see, it is kind of a warm, egg yolky yellow. And if you talk about an older version of pigments, I think this would be comparable to cadmium yellow dark, probably back in the day. So these are all pigments that have been made synthetically in the chemistry lab. And so that really gives us a broad, wonderful broad variety of colors to choose from. And these pigments that are made in the lab are much more durable. They are much more light fast than the older ones, and they're safer. So here's, let's start with diarylide, and let's put this in our color wheel just so you can, what we're going to do is sort of see how these fit in the color wheel. And the colors that I've got inside these little dots here refer to the sort of standard colors that we know that kind of fill in the gaps between the colors that I'm going to be using today to show you how we can make our regular color wheel independent of the color names that we have. So big difference. The color name, in other words, the pigment, and depending on the brand that you're using, these colors will probably have different names. So let's put diarylide where it belongs here. And it's a warm yellow. It's probably, well, it's right between yellow and yellow orange, I'd say. So we're just going to put a little bit of that in our little bubble here and just get a sense of where that belongs. Sometimes these tops get a little clogged. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lovely egg yolk yellow and very powerful pigment. So you might say it's yellow orange. I don't know. You know, colors are actually very subjective, aren't they? So one person's perfect red is somebody else's red blue. You know, so nothing is absolute here. It's not like numbers, which I love and other people just can't stand, but I am fine with it. So anyway, and let's get the other yellow that we're going to be using. This is a benzodiazolone, the newest pigment that Golden is making. It took over from Hansa yellow, which used to be the go-to light yellow or lemon yellow, or you know, you can see it's really a different, just even the swatch, really different color than that one. It's more lemony, greeny. So we say this is a warm yellow, and we say this is a cool yellow. Of course, that's subjective also, but let's put this one in here, and you can see the difference. And depending on what yellow you're mixing with your colors, you're going to get a very different mixture. So if you take benzo and mix it with phthalo blue, you're going to get a real Kelly green. I'll show you what that looks like. And also, what's Kelly? But, you know, we're just going to kind of go here. So I'll take, this is my phthalo blue, just to sort of an offside here. I'm going to take a little bit of that and mix that together. You see, I got a nice kind of greeny yellow, you know, a green blue blue-green, otherwise known as Kelly. And if we take a little bit of the ultramarine blue here, which is a cool blue, or a blue that has a little bit of red or heads toward red, put that out here on our palette. And we mix that with some of the benzo yellow. You see, we've got a different green, a really different green. This one seems more olive. You know, that would be the word I would use for that. An olive green as opposed to a Kelly green. So they're really different. That's how much these two colors can really affect the color. And it could be why you're not getting the color that you want, because you've not got all the different pigments that you really need. So can you make a color wheel just using 3 colors? Yes. But you're going to get different colors depending on which yellow, which blue, and which green, which red you use. Okay, so let's go back to our wheel here. How would you get yellow? It's probably, you know, right between these two. So maybe, you know, we can do that. We can just say, okay, the ultimate yellow is a cross between these two. So we'll put a little bit of that yellow in there, and we'll add a little bit of benzo to it. And maybe you would agree this is the ultimate yellow, but you know, you may say, no, you know, benzo yellow, that is the ultimate yellow. I'm fine with that. There's no right or wrong here. There really is not. It's just kind of what you want to go for. Okay, so let's go over to green. Let's go over to phthalo blue, because that's one of the, you know, that's definitely a pigment name. And I'm going to put that in there. And this phthalocyanine blue is a green blue, as opposed to the ultramarine, which is a red blue. So you could also say the phthalo blue is warmer, and the ultramarine, because it heads toward red, is cooler. Again, that's kind of subjective, but that's often you'll hear that. Let's put a little bit of the phthalo blue in here, and it, as you can see, really affects the greens that you make. So this is phthalo blue. You probably won't be able to see that much difference when I put the ultramarine down next to it, because they're dark colors. If you want to see it a little bit better, you can add just a teeny bit of white, and you can see it. So let's just do that. Let's add a tiny bit of white, just a little dab of it. Yeah, there you go. And you can see that that is really a greeny yellow, right? Okay, let's go to the ultramarine blue. And it's here. You already put that one out. I think I'll just use it from my palette knife here and slide that in. And you can already see there's really a difference here. This is definitely a or a red, a blue that tends toward red. How do we know that? It's experience. If you say that goes to green, you know, this is heading toward the red side of the color wheel. And what would be the ultimate blue? Maybe the ultimate blue would be, again, some cross between these two. I don't have blue written in. I guess it could be right here. You can really, you know, keep going, adding secondary and tertiary colors here in this color wheel. But let's just say that's the ultimate blue. And perhaps that is the blending of these two. Again, it's subjective. Let's go to violet. So violet Well, no, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's go back over here because I was talking about really using the colors that we have, the pigments for. So pyrrole red is also a fairly new pigment. It's a new synthetic pigment. It's part of a family of colors, pyrroles, that again are safer than the cadmiums. Artists have liked cadmiums over the years because they are opaque, or they're more opaque. The characteristics of these synthetic pigments are that they're more transparent, and you can see the little black dots underneath this swatch of color here. So we're going to just take out this pyrrole red and just put it right down here on the color wheel. I know that I'm kind of running out of this pyrrole red. I may just have to open up the container and take it from the inside of the bottle here. So there we go. So that's pyrrole red, and as you can, I mean, that might be someone's perfect idea of red. I mean, that's it, red, totally done. And then you can see how this orange yellow here would be perhaps a mix, or maybe that's just plain old orange. Again, you can fit these all in here. So let's just put that aside, and I think we'll do a little color mixing. So let's put out the pyrrole red over here in our see, I have a feeling that you guys didn't get a chance to see those other colors. This is the phthalo blue mixed with the benzo, with the benzo, and this is the phthalo blue mixed with the diarylide. Okay, so here we go with the pyrrole red, and we'll take a little bit of our diarylide color. Diarylide yellow, and we'll mix that together, and you've got a really beautiful orangey red, which might go here, right? And of course, the more heavily you put the paint on, the more you're going to be able to cover and get a good, nice, good color there. Stronger colors, I mean. There we go. So see how transparent that is? Yeah, I'm really having trouble covering the words yellow, orange there because these synthetic colors are so transparent naturally. All right, let's go into the last color and I haven't put it in my color chart, so let's do that, which is magenta, and it's super key. Now, I would say that if you don't have magenta, you really need some. Because otherwise you'll never get this really true violet. If you've noticed, when you mix just plain old red with plain old blue, you get a color that tends toward brown a bit. And of course it depends on which red you're using. But let's put a magenta in here. I'm going to say that, let's cross this one out. I'm going to make this color. It's just that I forgot to put magenta in here, so magenta. Getting good at writing upside down here. Magenta. Okay, so that's magenta, and we have our magenta right here. It's called quinacridone magenta. Because you can't pronounce that name, you know that it's synthetic. You know that it's made in the chemistry lab, and it's also very transparent. But this color is the key to being able to make a gorgeous violet. All right, so here we go. I'm going to take a little bit out and clean my palette knife a bit before I use that. I'm going to just put that right here. Yeah, that really is a very good red violet color without having to do anything to it. But I'm going to just leave that there. And then also, how would I make violet? I would take a little bit of my magenta and I would mix it with my ultramarine blue. So let's do that. Let's put that on my color palette here and take a little bit of the ultramarine. You also could use phthalo blue if you wished to make a violet. You'll still get a beautiful violet. Either one will do that. And again, this color is a little harder to see until we add white to it. It's a little trick of the trade. Let's take a little bit of white to it and you will see more than that. There we go. Yeah. That may be almost too much violet. I mean, too much magenta. And you know, you just kind of play with it until you get, again, these colors are not absolute. They really aren't. They're very subjective. There we go. So let's just put that in there. Here we go. So not bad. We haven't done the grains yet. Let's get to the, well, yeah, we did do them up here, but let's do them, let's put them in their places. These out of the way. Let's make our blue, let's make our green rather, using phthalo blue and benzo yellow because we're on this side, right? We're on the more blue-green side. So let's start with our benzo. And now let's take our phthalo, which is my container of high flow. Okay, and we're gonna make a little bit of the blue. See how powerful it is. You don't need much, you really don't need much. And we're gonna mix that together. And I'm gonna put that as green. And then the yellow green will just get more of that benzo yellow and less of the blue. There we go. So that's a pretty good color wheel. How do you know if your color wheel's working? If you have a good transition around the whole thing. That's how you know. Like when you squint your eyes, if you don't see a huge leap from, you know, color to color, if it seems like a nice gentle transition, then, you know, you've done a pretty good job with the color wheel. And as I said, depending on the colors that you use, you'll get variations of the color wheel, and there is no one absolute color wheel. There are variations, and it is subjective. One other thing that I want to say about this, after we've talked about these colors and how the pigments translate to actual colors, right? We can go from the primaries, and the primaries we learned in kindergarten, supposedly, are red, yellow, and blue. So we have yellow, blue, and yeah, they kind of distribute themselves almost like a triangle, right? So got this triangle going on here of the primaries. Right, the primaries because you supposedly cannot make these colors from any other mixture of color. It's all right. Well, you can sort of say that. As you can see, we sort of not exactly true, but more or less. And the secondaries are the colors that you make by mixing the primaries together. So when you mix, red and yellow, you get orange. When you mix yellow and green, rather yellow and blue, you get green. When you mix blue and red, you get violet. So that would be the secondary, and the tertiaries are the colors that are in between those. So this color chart, we're not quite ready to show those yet, so we'll just skip that, but that's just what you would call these other in-between colors here, the tertiaries. I just want to point out that we have something interesting here when you look at colors on the opposite of each other on the color wheel, yellow and violet. Right? Those are opposites, those are complements. C-O-M-P-L-E-M-E-N-T, not complement, but complements. And when you mix yellow and violet together, you get in the middle here what we call neutral. So it might be that you would call it brown. I prefer not to use the word brown or gray, but instead to say a warm or a cool neutral, because these can, again, vary so much depending on which color combinations you use. But generally speaking, these are complements and they make neutrals when you mix them together. What else is a complement here? Red and green are complements, right? These are complements because they're opposite each other on the color wheel. And orange and blue are complements because they're opposite each other on the color wheel. Right? So these are also complements. And again, when you mix those in the middle, you will get a neutral color, warm or cool, depending on